right, Matt Gannon, Jers. You got your Melbourne shirt on. You've got your Troon hat on. You're ready to go. It's playoff time. We've made it. We're here. Some people say the greatest playoffs in the world. This is better than any playoffs that could possibly exist. Right? This is as good as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go down on Rory McIlroy's tombstone as one of the greatest golfers of all time, FedEx Cup merchant. But I have to definitely have a word with the graphics guy because he didn't mention that the Czech Masters is also this week. So I'll talk to him after the show because this is also Czech Masters week. So, but that's
for people who are listening on the pod that they won't see the thumbnail, but there is. I hope you did notice, Jers, in the thumbnail that I've got a picture of Scottie looking perplexed on the putting greens, which should be in line with what we've got this week. Last week, JJ Spawn. Shout out to him. He made it onto the thumbnail and finished T3 at triple digits odds. So
we should double check our strokes gained thumbnail like back the whole season to see how the thumbnail guys have done that given week.
The most disappointing by far was Nikki Dunn at Valhalla. Because in retrospect, that makes so much sense. It was a birdie fest. It was low scoring. Yeah. It should have worked for him there.
Like if they play that event 10 times, he wins 9 of them, at least 8.
Yeah, he missed the cut, but if they played 100 times, he probably misses the cut once. We just caught the bad variant at Valhalla where it's
golf though. It's golf.
Yeah. So good process, bad result there for us. But in all seriousness, probably not the greatest playoffs that exist, but still something that stands out is a little bit different versus the regular weeks of the year. We just had a regular week of the year last week at the
Would you say regular? Would you say regular though?
Well, we'll talk about it in a second. I don't want to talk about it too much because it was one of the worst things I've ever watched, I think, in my entire golf watching life. It was like it had a lot of DP feel to it, especially with Rye being there to pick up the pieces when everything fell down. We'll get to that in just a second. As always, if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. We appreciate that. Leave a comment if you're listening on Spotify or Apple. We appreciate a 5-star review if you're so inclined. If you think we're ball knowers, if you don't, then don't leave the 5-star review. We have to earn the ball knowing. We have to earn the 5 stars. Site still up and running as we head into the playoff swing. $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the monthly. Jers, I do believe. Are you committed? Are you going to be heading to Denver next week?
Yeah, the flight is in the process of being booked. Probably after tonight, we are heading to Castle P. Well, I'm heading to Castle P. Got to get that boots content in. One of the few like more outlier courses we've had where we're going to have this season. At least the next one is going to be the next major or the second major of the year. So we got to get that new course info, and we're going to have the best content of anyone in the world at Vincerix next week. So definitely tune in for that.
Yeah, so Jers is going to represent the Boots team there at Castle Pines. I grew up in Denver for a couple of years. I've been to Castle Pines. I used to go to the International that they had there, so I do have some boots on the ground experience back from when I was a little kid. I can't remember who it was. I remember somebody throwing me a golf ball off the side of the greens when I was probably in like first grade. So yeah, Jers will have boots on the ground next week. And if you support boots on the ground, which people have all year, for the majors, this is the first kind of non-major, it is a big event, but it's not, at the level of those events. So if you want to see more boots content for next year, more regular events, things like this, then we'd love if you could, subscribe to the site next week, kind of so we can gauge the support for these kind of non-major events, I guess. That's why Jers is going instead of both of us. It's save a little bit of money for the event. But if we see big numbers of people supporting boots on the ground for all sorts of events, then obviously that will set us up next year to, put more investment behind doing more of these events. So we really appreciate, as always, all the support for the boots so far this year. Jers is going to do a great job next week, giving us the content. I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to be a consumer of the boots next week. I'm going to be sitting here waiting for to hear from you, Jers, on what's happening.
Yeah, it's going to be a sweet, different dynamic pod. Probably we'll do it like Tuesday night or something after we get all the first day info in. You're just going to be asking me a ton of questions. It's going to be one of the most fun pods. I'm already banking on that.
Yeah, so we'll tweet out the schedule for next week as we always do. Pod might be Tuesday next week instead of Monday, just without the boots and the travel sets up for the BMW. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're excited. Like I said, I'm excited. And yeah, next week will be a little bit more of a almost like an interview. I'm going to be trying to find out all I can from Jers. I probably won't be making any selections or doing anything until I get the knowledge from Jers. So looking forward to that. And like I said, we really appreciate everybody who supported the boots so far this year, and excited to pull out one more little surprise boots here before the end of the year. Jers, the Wyndham Championship at Sedgefield. Donnie Ross, we got off to a slow start. There was no golf on Thursday. They almost got it in if it wasn't for Kuchar. We'll talk about that in a second. Aaron Rai comes out victorious. He's obviously been knocking on the door all year. You talked last week. He opened at 50. I think it was 40 when we did the pod, but you were saying that you liked that number. Why don't you lead off? Because I was following the golf at a medium level this week. I had a bunch of guys make the cut, a bunch of guys kind of kicking around trying to decide if they wanted to get into the mix or not. By Sunday, I was like, Spawn was kind of my guy who was at least doing something, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was at Governor's Island out here in New York, which, by the way, if you haven't been to Governor's Island and you come to New York, you're visiting for vacation, whatever it may be, take the ferry. It's like a 5-minute ride. Go out, no cars. It's great. Rode my bike around.
Good time. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, good times. But so I wasn't paying that close of attention. But I started to pay attention on the back nine, Jers, because I saw what was happening. I was checking the scores on my phone. I was like, wow, Spawn's kind of getting in the mix. But Grazerman's way out in front. Like, he's got no chance. Rye's kind of right there. Rye's not making any putts. Next thing I know, Grazerman's minus 21. I opened the app. I see he's made an eagle. Next time I opened the app, I was at dinner. He's at minus 17. You were watching. I believe you were watching. Were you watching?
I was watching. Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
I was watching it all.
I didn't want to tee you up to tell me what happened without you having watched. But and then I did watch the last 3 or 4 holes. So I saw the final holes, but explain to me what happened kind of over the final round, because I didn't see a ton of it. I don't know if everybody saw it, but it was one of the, from what I can tell, one of the most shocking, kind of crazy for a normal PGA Tour event. Again, we see this on the DP. We see this everywhere, but like for a mid-level, reasonable field PGA Tour event, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like this.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the grittiest days of my golf watching career. I was up at 9 a.m. watching them tee off round 3, and I did not leave. I went to go get food for about 30 minutes, but I stayed in the exact same chair from 9 a.m. to around 9 p.m. all yesterday, just getting a ton of work done for the week, watching the golf. So I got a lot of it done. But yeah, what happened with Grazerman and Rye was, I've never seen anything like that. He dunked it on a hole, what was that, 13? Or 13, I believe it was. And then 14 made the 8. He went OB, got a unlucky break, but bad swing. He went right. And then his decision to and then he had his third off the tee, went to the rough, but that's whatever. His decision to lay up out of the thick rough, he couldn't get to the green, into the bunker, was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And the dynamic with him and his caddy, the booth was talking about it for the final few hours. Like, his caddy was as like stoic and straight faced and didn't even say like, Max, like, let's go, we got to do this, or didn't say like nothing. Just looked down the fairway, gave him his clubs, did not say, Max, I don't think this is the club. And after the interview, Max owned it himself. So this a strokes gained caddy is huge, as you and I know. And like, I think something has to be said there. Like, you have to take a club that cannot possibly get to a fairway bunker that makes the hole that much harder.
Basically, if I'm doing the math right, he could
have easily made a 6 or 7.
But then he made double bogey on his second ball. Like, he made a 6 with the second ball that he got into play, plus the 2 for the penalty is 8. So
correct.
He's still, with his second ball, completely boned
just
the situation.
Mental. Like, as soon as it happened, it just like was swirling in his head. Luckily, he got to the next hole and stripe 2-putt tap in birdie. Shout out tap in birdie. Be on the show tonight. And nice. then. And then, so it was looking all right for Max. He was back, and then he gets to the par 3 16th, which has been a critical hole in Wyndham Championships over the last few years. 4 putts, and as soon as he lag putted it, I knew he was missing that comebacker. And then the one down the hill was even longer. I was like, this guy, is he gonna 4-putt this? And of course, it happened. Shout out Rye for making that birdie on 18, and. Shout out Rye, the most obvious golfer won this year for the first time this year, I believe. So shout out to most tipped winner. We got one. We always get one a year, so it happens.
Yeah, I was going to ask about your thoughts on the most tipped.
We get one a year. We've had one the last 4 years, so it took to the last season, and that's what it took. It took a lot to happen. So shout out most tipped. You got your one winner a year.
Yeah, the Grazerman thing, I'm looking back on Data Golf here, and they usually have the college results and the amateur results, and I'm not seeing a win at any level in his life.
Wow. Good to know.
He was on the Corn Ferry for 5 years, played in Canada. He's never won anything. And we saw what happens when you're playing on the PGA Tour level and you've never won anything before. But once he got a 4-shot lead, I was like, he had a 4-shot lead in those last 5 holes. Like 14 is a tough hole and 18 is reasonably tough. But like 15 is almost guaranteed birdie if you know what you're doing.
Unless you're Aaron Rye.
Yeah, 16 should be a par. Like if you're not a good birdie chance. 17 is a great birdie chance. A 4-shot lead going with 5 holes left at Sedge should be as close to like just keep your hands even anywhere near the wheel. You could drive with one hand on the wheel and the other hand on the radio. Like it should be a pretty straightforward finish. Doesn't get the job done. One thing I thought was interesting, 16 specifically, and again, I didn't watch a ton. I watched a little bit of like the early afternoon when they were kind of finishing up the 3rd round, going to the 4th round, and then I watched those last few holes. For how wet and damp it was, obviously on Thursday, by the weekend, those greens were cooking. Like those lip outs that graze. The reason on a normal golf course, not Donnie Ross and not with those speed of greens, like he doesn't 4-putt that green. He probably 2-putts it, and he probably legs it up closer. And that second one, the lip outs were so hard. They lipped out and rolled out another 3 feet almost because of how quick the greens were. I saw P-Raj one day tried to chip on the green instead of putt. Like for how wet and damp it was, shout out to Sedge, shout out to our boy Donnie Ross, shout out to the North Carolina people. So, you know, we're high on all these things year round. It was nice to see how crispy the greens were. And I was genuinely shocked by like the condition of the greens.
Yeah, shout out Donnie Ross, because that was as wet as it could have been, and they were still cooking. I will say there was a few less rejections than we probably would have seen because they just held up on those edges of greens. But Donnie Ross, you're a gem year after year. I can't wait to get back to all the Donnie Ross in them. We might have one or two, one in the fall, a random one, but then back to next year. I'm hyped for Donnie Ross.
I think the highlight for me when I did tune it in, almost immediately, the first thing I saw was our guy, number 7 in the dog rankings for a reason. People have questioned that before. I don't think there's any question now that Billy Ho has some of the most dog on the PGA Tour. Aaron Rye historically has not had a lot of dog on the PGA Tour. Has always been a solid enough player, but the dog has been a question. The dog had been a question this summer. He's obviously been up there in a couple of events, not been able to close the door, not really looked good at all in the final rounds in the previous.
And he didn't really.
But once the door opened up and Billy Ho, I think, sensed that Grazerman had so little dog, he was like, Aaron, buddy, this is come on over. This is your moment. Like if you don't win this, you're never going to win. This is your moment. And Billy Ho's like, follow me across the finish line. I will take you there. He
set him up for every putt down the stretch, like on purpose.
Hitting his wedges behind him to give him the read. Insane stuff. Billy Ho has so much dog that he's able to lend dog to other. You don't see that very often. Dog is hard to earn. Dog is hard to keep. Dog can come and go at a moment's notice. For him to be giving away dog to Rye, in my opinion, that's why Rye won the tournament. I can't give Rye any dog points for winning because of what happened, but I am curious to see, and I wonder your thoughts on this. Do you think he's obviously been given some dog now from Billy? Billy lent him some dog, maybe even gave him some dog, gifted it to him. Do you think he keeps the dog, or do you think this was a one-off situation where everything fell together and Billy was there to guide him across the finish line going forward?
I think Rye's going to give him anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 of his earnings for that gifted dog, but I'm not sure. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to settle in, because even in when they were signing their scorecards in the end, Billy was like hugging Rye, and Aaron was like in shock. Like I just won a golf tournament. So I don't think it's still like you're on a little bender. It hasn't settled in yet, but maybe in a week's time, maybe even after this week, it might settle in. Like in one night he sleeps, he wakes up and he feels a little bit stronger or taller, and like, oh, is this what dog feels like? Yeah. So he might have some dog. We will have to see. I don't think we can really have a good justification of it until like the next few months.
Is he capable of Lucas Glover back-to-back victories this week?
That's a question that you have to answer yourself. This is an Adam question. I'm going to default this to answering your own question.
Well, so I will say, and the reason Jersey is saying this is because I did bet Glover last year for his back-to-back victory. I didn't have him at Wyndham, even though I thought about betting him there, and then I did bet him at St. Jude. I'd say it's a similar situation with Rye. Like, I was basically out on betting Rye for the rest of the year because I didn't think the numbers were good. Like, he was always like 30, 40 to 1. He makes sense at Wyndham. That's like, it all makes sense. There's a reason he's most tipped. I was good on Rye last week, but I did say before last week that I liked Rye at St. Jude. So for that reason, I think I have no choice but to say that I could see him pulling the back-to-back. I don't think he has the dog that Glover has. Like, Glover unearthed some dog last year when he won the Wyndham that reminded him of the dog that he used to have way back in the day. So I don't think he's as likely to do it as Glove was last year, but there's a reason that Glove was able to go back-to-back at the Windy and the St. Jude. At the end of the day, they're somewhat similar golf courses. The thing, if Rye does exactly what he did this week, which was absolutely flush his irons, I mean, I think it was the best iron performance of his career. It's got to be. Yeah, certainly looks like it. He's played here before reasonably well enough. Actually, in 2019, he came over here for the first time to play some PGA Tour events, finished T12. So I think Rye can play well. I'm not going to say that I'm going to bet him or I'm going to follow in the Glover footsteps, but I don't hate it. One thing I was going to say about Rye and the dog thing that I find interesting. So last year I had Rye at the BMW Championship. He lost down the stretch to Ryan Fox, another notoriously lacking player, which deduced the dog for me with Rye, because if you lose to Fox, that's like a real red flag. The only other guy I can remember off the top of my head losing down the stretch to Fox is Noren, and Noren also low on the dog list. However, there is a man back in the day, let me see what year this was, 2020, that Aaron Rye did win in a playoff against a golfer who notoriously has no dog. Do you know who I'm speaking of, Jers?
Was that in the Scottish Open?
It was.
Was that Tommy Dietz? No,
it was Tommy Fleets. So,
right. Okay.
So
Dietz was the year after. Dietz was the year after.
And I just bring this up because Rye winning caused me to think about the DP, caused me to think about the dog rankings. The way Billy Ho is like, I was really thinking about dog yesterday, and it really made me hurt for Tommy that even Rye was able to beat him in a playoff back in the DP days. So I actually had to knock down Tommy a couple rungs in my dog rankings just when I was thinking about all of these things yesterday.
I'm seeing some Tommy 30-1 tickets flying around this week already, but wouldn't say I condone them. Maybe without Scottie markets. I might be a without Scottie market guy now after the sweat last week, which we'll get into. But yeah, I saw some Tommy tickets getting bet already Monday morning.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see.
Not what you want to see.
And that's not what you want to wake up to on a Monday morning.
A lot of other things you want to see on Monday morning.
A few more Wyndham's thoughts. Well, again, we'll be quick because I don't want to talk about this tournament very long because it was a disgrace by almost every measure. Shout out to the Rye backers. Shout out to our boy BK and the many people that were on Rye. But there were some other guys that we need to talk about. First of all, shout out to JJ. Like I said, great performance from Spawn, big number. There was a second there when everybody was imploding where I was like, maybe. Like, he might be able to. He played great. I think he only made like 2 bogeys the whole week, and one of them came on 15, which was one of the par 5. So I'm actually going to count Spawn as a winner because that could have been a birdie. You do the math.
Yeah.
Wins. Shout out to Rio. That, yeah. Rio almost continued the trend of young Asians winning their first PGA Tour event. Siwoo, Tom, Rio. It would have made sense.
Did we not? I don't know how we didn't touch on Rio. We touch on Rio every week he plays. We must have missed him in
playing so bad. He was really playing bad. What did that get him to? Nice. That got him up to 84 in the FedEx. So he didn't. I was worried about him losing his card. And that's going to lock him. He's good. He'll be back next year.
Yeah, a lot of our guys are back. Novak is back. Goddard is back. I confirmed some of the hits for back next year.
Good. That's important. Luke Clance. What's your thought on Luke Clance? Because,
dude,
it's impressive what he's up to.
I honestly gave a negative write-up heading into the week. I'm like, this is a very nuanced course. Like, we saw Luke Clance on these bomber tracks. Like, give him some time, he'll be fine, but not yet. And him doing it, I meant to tweet out on yesterday morning. You weren't watching, but Luke Clanton was making that charge. I think he shot 7 under in round 3. It looked like they were playing a Luke Clanton highlight package throughout the day because every single shot was flagged or absolutely perfect, like into the greens from some shitty lies from the middle of the fairway. I was like, is this kid for real right now? And he made nothing. Like, he did not make a lot of putts. He made the tap ins and the easy birdies, but it was very, very, very impressive. The kid is an absolute stud. He's teeing off in 20 minutes at Hazeltine, I believe, for the USAM. So shout out Luke Clance. You are a stud. And hand up, I was wrong about you going into the week, but we will see going forward what Luke Clance does. These young studs are just incredible.
I'll say hand up in a good way for me. I wrote, this is the first week I like Clanton in a while. So
Really? Okay.
Luckily I had some positive vibes on the site there for Clanton. He was high in the model, but yeah, flusher. Can't really putt yet, but you can't really fault a guy who comes out as an amateur and isn't quite getting the putts to drop. Will be interesting to watch the AM in general this week. I assume that's going to be on TV a reasonable amount on Golf Channel, and I'm not sure Hazeltine would be a spot I'd be excited to watch golf, but it's the USAM, and we're the guys on the lookout for the up-and-coming talent, so we're going to have to keep our eyes there, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if we have multiple Viking Cup future stars that are getting into the match play, making runs. I would love to see at least one Viking Cup player in at least the final 8. That anything worse than that would be unacceptable from the Viking Cup nations. And
the Viking Cup is catching some steam, to be honest. Like, I here and there, I'm getting tagged in a tweet about a Nordic person. So like, people are catching on, and if you're a ball knower, you know the Viking Cup deal. So it's gonna happen. Let's let it simmer. We are cooking, and it's gonna happen.
Quick shout out to Ben Griffin, because he continues to absolutely flush his irons, and he continues to once a tournament when he gets in the stretch, the mega right miss is always in play for BG. He shipped one OB after he was when Grazerman went OB, I was like, oh, that's what Griffin did, because BG also shipped one OB right on 14 early because he had gotten up there near the lead. His ability to always hit one out of bounds in the stretch, as a guy with I'm a lefty and I have a huge left miss, I just feel in my heart for BG, because like he knows it. He knows that he just can't. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah, but I did also tweet that if every tournament was held on a short positional golf course, Ben Griffin would contend for a Grand Slam every single year.
What odds would you want on BG to win any event this fall? Like you bet, right? What
there's not much short Bermuda on in the fall. Actually, there might be. Is RSM in the fall?
There's RSM Sandy Farms, which he blew last year with.
I had him.
Yeah, he blew Sandy Farms. He's almost won Bermuda. Like, the fall is
actually. I forgot that the fall schedule is different now. So you're right.
I'd make him.
I would take 15-1.
In total, or in any given event.
He wins one event, 15-1.
Oh, I was gonna say like 5-1. I think he's I'd be shocked almost if he doesn't win, because he's been close to winning in the fall. He's playing even better now in the normal events. He's in the field this week. The guy, quickly, we'll touch on Kuchar.
What about Cam Young?
Well, we're saving him for just a second.
Okay.
Don't worry. We'll get there. Don't worry. Also, shout out to us on our Sungjae call. Most tipped Sungjae. He did play. He was T41. I didn't even know. I didn't even know he played. You just don't bet Sungjae below 30-1. It's an easy rule.
He got smashed too. Yeah. He opened at what, like 16? He was like down to 11 and 12.
It's one of the simplest rules in betting. It's right up there with Minwoo flowchart. Just under 30-1. Sungjae, pretend he's not playing, and then you just move on to the next. The thing about Kuchar is that was probably one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen. When you factor in who it was, and the fact it would have been one thing if he didn't nearly hit Aaron Rai, he didn't almost hit him because his shot was so wayward, but like he could have. Rai's in the fairway, queuing up to hit the most important approach shot of his career. And Matt Kuchar, who has absolutely nothing to play for, tees off, and everybody's like, oh, he must be rushing to like finish and get in. And then he picks up his ball and says, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. It was sickening. It was disgusting. It was a joke. I've never liked Kuchar. I've heard many bad things about him. And now he does this in front of everybody. Just red flags all around.
If Matt Kuchar was 71 in the FedEx Cup standings, more power to you. Take all the time you want. The fact that he's 88, whatever he is, and he has literally zero chance to do anything, maybe win a few more $100,000 or $1,000. And at the end of the day, that is pocket change to him, but we know how cheap Matt Kuchar is. It's truly disgraceful and a shame to everyone who had to come out Monday morning because people have lives and they don't have nearly as much money as him. Yeah, he shook some hands. Yeah, he said thank you. It doesn't make up for it. That's disgraceful. You made par, whatever. Stupid, a joke, should have been. He's not. I mean, there's no way to penalize him, but I don't know how anyone could stand up for Matt Kuchar doing what he did.
Yep. And that does lead to the final note on the Wyndham Championship. A guy by the name of Cameron Young, a guy that you bet last week. You said, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's play the hits. Let's play Cam Young. And it was looking good there for a second. When I did wake up on Sunday morning and check the scores, I saw that he was either tied for the lead or a shot back from the lead. How were you feeling at that moment? That would be my first question.
I was feeling great on Friday morning when he was finished 3 under, bogey free. I was like, okay, he's live fave. Bo Hostler might miss the cut. I was like, we're good. And then Friday came around. He started striping 2 eagles, shot 62 with a 4 putt. I was like, this guy has got it on lock. And then the weekend comes around, and I thought the way that this would set up, like a ton of golf, his mind should be not focused on like, okay, I have to do this. Like, it's
just go. And I kind of thought the same, like 36 holes, just go out there and play golf. I thought the same for like Ben Griffin. Some of these guys who had never won before, like just go play golf.
And it got off to a great start. He went birdie on Saturday or Sunday morning on round 3. And then it was midway through round 3. He just stopped, and he's putting great. Stopped making everything. Missed, I think, 6 or 7 inside 8 feet on Sunday in both rounds combined. And it's just like when he gets to that top spot, and this isn't a new take, it's a total like body switch. It's like you or I getting into his body and playing. He looks so uncomfortable, but I'll continue to bet him. Like, I'll bet him again at 30-1 in that field. And I would bet him at 30-1 in that field all day.
But he might be incapable. Like,
he might be incapable.
Like, I don't know if there's a player with like a worse mental game on the PGA Tour. I really don't.
No, it's
like
bad. It's so bad. And I bet him minus 200 to finish inside the top 20 on Friday. On Friday morning before he went to the par 5, and he ended up eagling. And then Friday afternoon, when the tournament was over, he was minus 2,500 to finish inside the top 20. Obviously, he ended up not finishing inside the top 20. He was minus 8,000 Sunday morning, and then he blew it. But if he would have hooped that on 18, he would have backdoored it.
I genuinely like. I would never bet him. I'm I don't know what odds I would bet Cam Young at this point. I don't know where my number is.
We bet him at the players at
right. I think he was like 70 to 80, and like that's fine. But I truly enjoy it now when I see his name popping up. He's T2, he's T3, he's up there because something amazing is about to take place, and an amazing in a bad way is about to take place. Yeah. And I look forward to it now. It's honestly one of my favorite things, I think, on tour. It's absolutely hilarious. I said last time we talked about this that I do feel bad for him, and we've given those takes many times that like we don't shit on him that much because clearly like there's just something wrong with him. Mm-hmm. But he's got to be the worst. I'm trying to think of like some of the biggest. Let's say Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Young are tied going to the back 9, and they both have 8-shot leads over the rest of the field. They've both been just ball striking it so well that they've distanced themselves so far. And it's Tommy and CY down the stretch. Who would you take?
I'd honestly probably take Tommy because Tommy's problem when he gets in those spots, like he usually stripes it fairly well, but he misses so many putts. Like Cam is a bit more wild. He'll still have his good moments the Cam gets a little bit more wild than Tommy in those senses. And yesterday when it was going down, my dad knew the situation that I had, and he knew the Cam Young bet, so he was watching it with me. And then he saw like he was like 5 over on his round and missing all the putts. And then once he got 5 over, they panned back over to him in the fairway. And my dad was like, "Oh, is this going to hit a tree?" I'm like, "No, this is definitely going to go right next to the flag." And he put it to literally 1 inch. And I'm like, yeah, this is Cam Young. Like, he's out of it now. These are going to be perfect shots. And then he played his last 6 holes 3 under once he got the 5 over. And I was like, yeah, this is clockwork for Cam Young. But I'll do it again. And he was like, my dad was like, why do you bet this guy? I was like, I'll do it again. I was like, but he's right. He's right.
At least you know what you're signing up for. You know
I would never be like, you have to bet Cam Young. I would never be like, ride this wave with me. It's
one of my favorite things about you. This is like, I guess this is a backhanded compliment, but it is a compliment. It's that you hit a lot of winners, but you also like self-sabotage yourself by sometimes just sticking to your guns in ways that like make no sense. Like your CY thing, like last year was Cantlay every week, then the Rom single bullet. Like I always wonder, I'm like, how many outrights would Jers hit if he also wasn't like fighting himself by just like picking these random hang your hat on things. But a couple more. CY versus Noren down the stretch. Who do you think wins?
I wouldn't say Noren's a guy who would just blow it up. Noren's a backdoor guy. Noren will backdoor it. So probably Noren.
CY or Teagues if they were head to head down the stretch?
Teagues.
CY or Thomas Dietrich. That's the best one because those are both your guys. If Thomas Dietrich this week and Cameron Young somehow get 10 shots ahead of the field with 6 holes to go, they're tied. They're in the same pairing. Who wins?
That's a true coin flip. That is like Dietz will go OB multiple times, but he'll make a 20-footer or save par or bogey, where Cam Young will do it in a different way. He'll 3-putt from 20 feet. So I don't know. That's a coin flip for sure.
I think I'd go with CY, simply because like, I mean, we're choosing between two impossible answers here, but I would trust CY to at least keep the ball on the planet. And to your point, like I could see Dietrich, especially at a course like St. Jude, just hitting in the water and costing. Because even with how bad Young played for a long stretch there, his tee to green stats last week were insane. Like
I mean, he striped it. He's gonna play well this week again too. Like he'll stripe it, he'll finish T12. Like I don't think it'll be in contention.
After all of that, I just saw that he's 60-1, and I was like, maybe. You never know.
Wait, he's actually 60-1. Yeah, someone texted me this morning. They're like, I'm going back to see Cam Young this morning, and I'm like, you're insane, but I might do it with you.
Yeah, it's 60. You never know. Maybe get over to the site. Maybe there'll be a surprise on there. It's the FedEx St. Jude. It's I was writing up the article, looking at the stats this morning. It's really one of the biggest like tee to green tournaments of the whole year. It's a great golf course. It fits in the like Memorial Bay Hill mold where the winners just always are great tee to green. You don't have to gain that much putting. You don't have to be the world's greatest putter to win here. Only 2 of the last 7 winners gained 4 strokes putting, which to me is kind of where I decide is this a putting event or not a putting event, is how many guys are gaining 4 or more to win. Only 2 have done that. The tee to green ranks of the last 7 winners here was 4th, 1st, 4th, 1st, 6th, 1st, 1st. Ball striking was 12th, 1st, 6th, 1st, 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 2nd. Like ball striker Flusher's course. But with that said, that would make you think Scottie Scheffler is going to win this tournament easily, Jers. If I told you all of those things and you knew nothing else besides what I just told you, what would you say? You'd say Scottie's going to win easily.
Yeah, I would agree. And then you look at his course history and what do you see?
We see more information, Jers, and we see he's played this event 6 times. His best finish is 14th. He's always done solid enough tee to green here. A couple years he didn't hit his approaches as well, but he's always driven it well here. His short game's good. He's just putted terribly at this event, and he's not putting as well lately. Like he won the Olympics losing strokes putting. He lost strokes at the Open. He did gain at Travelers. Obviously lost at the U.S. Open. That like kind of stretch where he was really rolling it nicely consistently. It's kind of leveled off a little bit. It's fallen off a little bit, but it's a tricky one this week because everything I said about this being a tee to green course, all the stats you would say this is a slam dunk Scottie. He's first in like so many of the different shot link stats that I'm pulling into the model this week. But then there's that course history angle. And for the most part, all the winners here have had reasonably good course history. Everybody's had top 15 finishes. There's been a lot of repeat winners here. And Scottie does have a top 15 finish, but he's never been in the top 10 here, which is surprising for a player of his caliber. You said Scottie was a guaranteed winner at Le Golf National. You bet the without Scottie plus without some other guys market. What's your Scottie stance this week?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say he's got no chance, and I will definitely say Scottie has no chance when I do believe that. He's hitting it so well. Like obviously, he's hitting it so much better than anyone. But the putter is a real thing, and like although this is a course where you don't have to gain a ton of strokes putting, like Scottie's won what like 15 plus times now, and only I would say 20% of them are on Bermuda. Like he doesn't putt it that well. So where's API, Harbor Town, was match play Bermuda?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so then I can't think of anywhere else where he's won.
If you count the Hero, he won that. That's on Bermuda.
Hero, I wasn't even counting that, but yes.
Players.
So yeah, like
he has lots.
Oh, the players. Shit, I forgot about the players.
He has lots of Bermuda wins. It hasn't necessarily been because he's putting great. Like I'm with Scottie, I don't necessarily know if I care what surface he's putting on. Like I think he is either putts good or he putts bad. Or he never really putts good. He either putts okay or he putts bad. I see with Scottie, I think it's more of a trend thing. Like when he was putting good, he gained putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight starts. That stretch that he went on 2 years ago when he first kind of broke out and won a bunch of events in a row and then won the Masters, he had gained putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of his 11 starts. So for me, Scottie's more like a trend guy. And I think when he's come here historically, the trend was just bad with his putting. And that made it even worse because these greens are quick. They are Bermuda. They are slopey and tricky. But right now he's not putting great either. So I don't know. I agree with you. I'm not going to say this is not Scottie can't win, but I think the fact that he is still 4-1 this week right now in the odds kind of points to everybody kind of feeling this way, at least so far. We'll see how those odds move. But
I was shocked. I thought he was going to be lower.
Yeah, and that's because he could have easily been plus 250 in this event. Like he's only lost 2 times in normal PGA Tour events since February. So he's lost to 2 guys. He lost to Davis Riley, which is unfathomable, and he lost to Stevie Eggs. The only other times that there's not a trophy on the profile here is at the Open, the U.S. Open, the PGA, and then those 2 PGA Tour events. So when he plays against these guys, and it's been these same 70 guys pretty much that he's been playing against the whole year long, he is winning every single time. And so with all that being said, 4-1 odds is plenty fair. Like all the doubt that is baked into the course history here, I think is completely baked into 4-1. Like that's a fine number.
I think that he'll buck that trend of not having a top 10. It's one of the only courses he hasn't, and he probably knows that. Like this course is kind of out of my number. Let's make it happen this week, and I think it will happen. So I'm going to say Scottie Scheffler guaranteed T10 win. Not going to guarantee it, but I think he will be part of the conversation.
Next up, the only 2 guys below 10-1 are Xander Schauffele, your boy, and Rory McIlroy, who's kind of also your boy to some degree. In the head-to-head between Xander and Rory, maybe not in head-to-head because I know that's a different question than who do you think is more likely to win. Which outright do you like better at 9-1 between Xander and Rory?
Rory, and I'm considering it. I wrote up. I might. My buy number for Rory is 9. The course history is tremendous. The ball, I'm so impressed by how well he's hit it here. And he's coming in with great ball striking form. He's coming in with his second best approach week of 2024. I know it was the Olympics and you could take that with a grain of salt, but
that includes him with some trash approach shots down the stretch of Le Golf. Like he still had such a high number with like a couple shots that probably cost him a ton of strokes gained. Yeah,
I think he's got 3 T7s here in 7 trips. Golf course that it just suits his eye and he plays well. And it's you need to be a stern high end ball striker to make it happen. And Rory obviously can get that done. So I love Rory in that matchup. I love Rory in that market.
Yeah, I once I started diving in this morning, I started to strongly consider a Rory single bullet, and then I saw it was 9-1, and it's like not even have to be a single bullet. You could bet Rory and some guys down the board, which is kind of what I'm thinking at the moment, just because of all the things that you said. Like of the guys at the top of the board between Scottie, Xander, and Rory, Rory's definitely got the best course history here. He's definitely played the best here most often. He drives it so well here. Like he gains infinity off the tee here every time. He's gaining infinity off the tee right now. He's going to gain infinity off the tee. Like,
and when he has that confidence of the sight lines, like he just full sense. Like you see him at Quail in those courses that he plays well all the time. he just gets so confident. It's just so free off the tee. When he has to think and it's a new course and he doesn't know the sight line, that's when Rory gets a little bit tentative. So I agree with that take.
Yeah, and he came in good with and what the other thing I like about him is the weather's supposed to be pretty hot. It seems like it's going to be dry. It might rain a little bit on Wednesday, but of the guys who just can bomb it, end up in the rough in the Bermuda, and then just somehow gouge it out into 10 feet over and over and over and over again, like I could just see Rory doing that this week. Just bomb and gouge. Like he's going to hit tons of fairways. He's going to miss tons of fairways, but he's going to be so far down there that it's not going to matter. His around the green play right now is near the very best of his career too. He's been chipping it and quite well. The only weakness right now has been the putter, which would concern me a little bit because he hasn't, even in his great performances here, he hasn't putted it great. He's putted it okay. It's been all the tee to green. But purely from a guy that I'd bet at the top of the board, Rory's definitely got my attention between these. I mean, obviously I wouldn't bet Scottie at 4-1, but it's the most I'm considering a low top of the board play in quite some time.
Yeah, I'm right with you there, and I haven't seen any. I saw a market like a Rory without Rory, Scottie, and Xander. I haven't seen Justin without Scottie, but I don't even think I'd have to go to that because I think like I would take probably Rory in a matchup versus these guys at plus money, and a 9-1 is a decent number, and it's 70-man field.
Yeah, and the thing about Rory versus like we're talking about Collin right now, and is Collin, for example, since Scottie has become Scottie, let's say the last 2 years, last 2.5 years that Scottie's just gone to the next level, Collin has not beaten Scottie or hasn't won an event that Scottie's also in a single time. 0. He won the Zozo. That's it. At least Rory has some wins in events that Scottie was participating in when Scottie was still at this level that Scottie is today. So I trust Rory. Like if Rory's down the stretch with Scottie, do I think he's the favorite? No, Scottie's deserving to be the favorite, but I trust Rory to win in a matchup. Like there's no reason Rory can't beat Scottie down the stretch. And it's not like the times that Rory's lost this year and blown it. It wasn't Scottie that he lost to. It was Bryson at
Right.
the US Open. So
I honestly just love you can get. I think all three of them are going to have good weeks. I mean, hot take. All three of them top 10 is plus 450. That's a really good number in my opinion. And a 70-man field.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Like,
that is a good number.
I think that number could have been way worse.
The guy I would trust the least there is probably Xander, right? Like
Xander.
Yeah.
And he's having the best season of his career, and he's hitting. I think he's just hitting it. And this is a course that we didn't even talk about, Xander. It has held him in check too. He's played this course 6 times, I believe, and he's only gained ball striking in 2 of them. That is otherworldly for Xander Schauffele.
He can't hit the fairways here. He's lost off the tee.
Very odd.
Yeah,
but like he's hitting it so well that I don't see him not finishing top 10 this week. I just think, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to bet that, but like I think plus 450 on them 3 top 10. Yeah. I mean, that's done you well this year. So in a 70-man field, I can consider it.
Yeah, and I was just talking about Collin. He's next. He's 14-1. He's been 14-1 all year, which is I wrote up. I kind of like the number just because like a lot of these guys' numbers are lower once we get a little bit further down the board, and he's kind of just the same price that he has been. He's been flushing it, obviously. He's been gaining infinity ball striking week after week after week. He's played good here. He's T5 in 2022, and he came in that week, I don't think, in the best of form. It's a course that makes sense for Collin. You could argue that he's due for a win this year, but then there's that other flip side, which is that he is yet to win one of these events where all the big dogs are in the event for years. I mean, it's been a long time since Collin has won one of these events. We have to go back to his Open win in 2021 to find a time that Collin actually won one of these events. Now, I think he can obviously play well this week. I think it makes all the sense in the world. But does that concern you? That it just hasn't happened for him in this level of field in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I think he's going to be, actually, I don't know, because I could see a world where people have had enough of Collin because they bet him all year long. But this is, I would arguably say this is like the best spot for Collin of the entire year because he's striped it here in his career, and he's coming off the 2 best ball striking weeks of 2024. And if he's having a good season, maybe he didn't peak yet. Like look at Victor last year, peak in August, and would it surprise you if Collin Morikawa won this event? Not at all. So I think I could see him being trendy because like there's just so few names, but also I could see a world where like people are like, all right, we did Collin, especially at this number. I'm gonna go down the board. I'm gonna go with someone else. So I think it's to be determined, but he's definitely on the short list, 100% on the short list.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people bet him just because it's easy to like skip over the first three guys at single digits, and Collin's the only guy in the teens and go to Collin. But I think still, like, I'll give Collin a look, and as we just said, like, it totally makes sense. There's no statistical reason to point to for why Collin can't win the event. You just have to point to the fact that he hasn't done it in so long. And I think I'd still just rather go with Rory, even though I'm going to have to, take 9-1 versus 14-1. I just trust Rory. And we didn't even mention it's FedEx Cup season. I spend all year shitting on Rory at the majors, saying he has no chance, saying he'll never win a major. It's the opposite. Once we get to this time of the year, I trust no one. Yeah, I trust no one more once we get to the month of August playing golf than Rory McIlroy. This is absolutely Rory season by every measure. Ludvig's drifted to 22. Are you going to give that a look?
Definitely. I definitely like Ludvig on this golf course, even though he hasn't played it yet. I believe, yeah, this is his first trip here. It's a golf course that, like I said, you have to be a high-end ball striker, and he's coming off of his best approach week of 2024 also. So I'm down for some Ludvig. I think he can have a great week, and I like him on like a new golf course. We saw him play really well in Scotland, a new golf course for him. Definitely down for some Ludvig.
Yeah, I like Lud. I don't think I'm going to bet him. I don't think there's been a lot of winners here on their debut. Like, it is a course with some nuance to it that I'd like to see him get some reps in. But yeah, top 5 type of finish for Ludvig, I think makes sense. And I'm sure the top 5-ish markets on him are pretty fair since he's drifted up above kind of the teen numbers that he's been for most of the year. The next set of guys, let me bunch together. Tommy, who we just talked about, Tommy Fleetwood. Pat Cantlay, 25-1, obviously came close here last year. Actually, those are the only two guys kind of in the 20s after Ludvig. Any interest in Tommy or Pat? And maybe who do you like better between those two?
Good things coming from Pat. Like, the Open was his best approach week of 2024. A lot of guys coming in with peak level weeks, which is weird. Yeah, he played well here last year. I don't think it's a good number on Pat though, truthfully, because he hasn't done shit. So yeah, I probably. And then Tommy, he's Tommy playing well, backdoor T9, whatever.
Yeah, even back to Tommy's got a T4 and a T3 here. I don't see any reason why he couldn't do that again, but yeah, he's not gonna win. This next tier in the 30s, we've got Decky at 33, we've got Russ Henley at 35, Tom Kim at 35. You can get a 35 or 40 on Victor or Tony. Same with Sung Jae and Corey Cons, which I think there's some names in there that fit the course. Connors, obviously. Russ is going to be popular. Decky coming off that good performance. Tom Kim at 35, I'm sure is going to get some attention. Vic, Tony, I think all these are interesting. Which of those names do you think are your favorites this week?
I would say Russ and Victor. Russ has been around the block a long time, and he's coming off of the second best ball striking week of his career, which is really impressive to say from Russ. This is a Bermuda golf course that he's played really well on his whole career, and he knows his way around. He knows the way around these greens. And then Victor, he is in his he hasn't been playing great, but he's posted his best approach week since the Memorial in his last start. So the good signs are there, and I'm just gonna go back to I trust our eyes, and we saw really good things from Victor at Troon. He was in that bad weather wave, which is whatever. I don't think Victor is as far off as maybe the rest of the people think. So I think it's a good spot to get early on him in some markets. I'm not saying outright, but you can make money on Victor somewhere because it's gonna happen sooner or later. He's gonna pop, and I think it's close.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I think he can win just because you need to gain around the greens at this course to win. But I do agree with you that he's hitting it off the tee almost as well as anybody besides Rory and Scottie. He's absolutely striping off the tee. It's hard to, at this type of course, that raises your floor basically here very high. And I think I agree with you that in the right market, Vic will be of interest. I like Russ too. I think he'll obviously be popular. He drove it insanely well at the Open. I don't know why. It was far and away the greatest driving performance of his life. I don't think he can do that again. So I don't think I'll carry over those off the tee numbers this week. But purely it's Bermuda. He's striping. The putter's hot. No reason Russ can't get in the mix. Another guy though who I'd have a very hard time seeing. Russ versus CY down the stretch. Who do you think would win?
Russ.
I might take CY actually in that one.
Russ is one at least.
TK is coming off his really strong approach performance. The putter though for TK is just ice right now, and that's a concern for me. I think he's going to be popular, but I think I'd probably go the other way on Tom. I think I can't trust the flat stick this week. Corey Cons. Corey Cons makes all the sense in the world, as he always does.
Yep.
He fits the mold of like Glover was the last 2 winners here, I think, had top 10s in the previous year, and then they won. He was T6 last year. He's been kind of trending here, building up year over year every year. He's absolutely flushing it as he always is. And the putter in the around the greens, we talk about it. He never practices his putting in around the greens, but it's all ever since in Canada. Like he must have gone up to Canada. He got focused. He started practicing his short game. And since then, he's been dialed. It's tough because he's 40-1, and that's a pretty tough number on Corey Cons. But if he was going to finally win an event of this caliber, which I think everybody knows Corey Cons is capable of doing, I do like him this week.
Yeah, I mean, anytime he's gaining strokes in the putting greens, that's a good thing. And he's done it in 3 straight events. So don't look now. Corey Connors might have another solid week. And he's a very safe DFS play, even though he's chalky.
Yeah, if you go back to Memorial, round 4 Memorial to now, which is a lot of rounds, he's only lost strokes to the field twice, and he's gaining like 2 strokes against the field every single round. He's just minting like good results.
He's such a stud.
So I like Corey Cons. I think he's not sneaking up on anybody at 40-1, but like in a 70-man field, you got to kind of suck it up sometimes and take bad numbers, and I'll give Corey a look. The next tier is JT, who's obviously had success here. Rye, we talked about earlier. Teagues, you can get a 60 on Teagues. He's played well here before. Billy Ho, fresh off sharing his dog with Rye at 55. He's in great form, playing well. And then CY Burns are kind of the next tier, and maybe Lowry. Anyone in there that's going to be catching your eye this week?
I definitely like Burns, and I can always consider Saha at this number. He's finished well here, I think back-to-back T14s or 13s, but he's lost on approach in those starts, but sadly he's coming in losing on approach. So
yeah, he's really struggling.
Maybe it's something with like these courses that have water on it that gets in his head into the greens. But again, like I wouldn't be surprised if he gained 3.5 on approach this week. It's a good number. I don't think it's a bad bet at all. And then Burns, I think he's heating up at the right time, and you get him on Bermuda, and he can make everything down for. I think those two are my favorite in that range.
Yeah, as the Burns guy, I'll say I like him. I don't love him just because I still think this is a tee to green course. But if there was a guy who could just get toasty hot on the greens, Burns would definitely be. And he was T2 here back in the day, so definitely top 20, top 10, DFS, all those things for Sam. From an outright perspective, honestly, the guy I like the best, even though it's not my favorite number on him, is Billy Ho. You can get a 60, 55 on Billy Ho just because the course history here is so good. We just saw what he did at another course history.
Billy Ho, like you can't.
Yeah, like he can win. Inform Billy on a course that he likes is going to be a threat to win pretty much every time he tees it up just because of.
It doesn't matter how strong the field is. Like it's Billy Ho.
Yeah,
dog. More dog than anyone.
Number 7 in the dog rankings for a reason. So I'll give Billy Ho a look. For sure, even though
I gotta increase those rankings. Like he might get up to like 5.
Well, I have to deduct some because he just gave some to Rye, so I don't know. Okay. I don't know how much dog he has left over. We'll have to monitor it this week. Lowry, you bet him last week. I think he missed the cut, but he's 65.
Yeah, really bad bet.
Would you be willing to give him another shot?
So I found out Lowry was there because he had to contain his T10 because he get $1 million bonus in the FedEx Cup. Luckily for Lowry, he ended up.
Oh, in the Comcast business top 10.
Yeah, everyone knows that, so that's why he went. He got lucky. He missed the cut and he still finished 10th. So I think maybe he wasn't like seriously wanted to be there because I don't think he really wanted to be there.
He striped it. His ball striking was pretty good, and he's played good here.
Yeah, I don't hate Lowry at all.
And he's comps on the Bermuda courses. Like I think Lowry jumping up to 60. It's similar to Harman. Like both those guys were around 25-1 last week, and they've both bumped up to around 70-1 on a course that they've had success on. And
same with Siwoo. I like Siwoo. Just a stripe.
My fade on Siwoo last week was one of my. That's my bet clap for last week.
He's the same as the Sungjae flow chart. They have the exact same flow chart. Siwoo and
they really do. Now we're down the board. We're into no man's land down here. We're above 80-1. There's obviously plenty of guys down here. Windy C, Fitz, Sepp Straka, Davey T. Shout out to him. Just good at golf. Yeah, there's not much else to say. Like last week wasn't even a good course for him at Wyndham. He didn't even hit his irons good and still finished T12. He's just better than a lot of these guys at golf. In the triple digits, maybe random Euro of the week time. You got any random Euros, random internationals, guys? You're going to be keeping
Adam Scott. Adam Scott. He's
you're not a Scott guy. So what's the deal there?
He's going to play well this week. He's gained 11 strokes ball striking in his last 2 starts, and in 5 trips here, he's got 3 top 10. So I just think combining those 2 things, he's going to play well. Maybe it'll be a backdoor, but I think Scott will play well this week. You're a Scott guy, so.
Yeah, I saw his course history and I was like, makes sense. A guy that I'm not really high on usually, but it kind of makes sense here. He's played well here before is Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack at 110-1 when you consider it in a firm and fast type of course where distance and
We could
short
consider it like a national open because it's a playoff event.
Yeah, and that's why, if he decides that this event matters, then I think we got to give him a look. So Bobby Mack might be my random Euro of the week. I think he would be my random Euro of the week. Justin Rose, my second random Euro of the week, because at 150-1, if Rose cares, he can win. I don't know if he cares, but statistically, if Rose cares, this place makes sense. He's played well here before. I know Pendy's kind of your guy. I saw you gave him a nice write up. He's obviously been absolutely flushing it. He's only played here once.
He really
didn't play great, but like Pendy purely on like strokes gained, total strokes gained, playing good golf is a lot better than a lot of these guys in the triple digits.
Yeah, and he's back-to-back top fives in his last 2 starts. He posted his best ball striking week of 2024 in his last starts. Like, that's really, really impressive. He finished, I think, in the 70th here when he played here, but Penny's playing better golf than that.
I'll happily. I don't know if I'll bet him, but at 90-1, I'll give Akshay another look. He didn't play good last week, but he's never played good at that course. But this is a better course for Akshay than I think the last, especially if it gets firm and fast, and he's just ripping wedges all day, and it's a similar enough course to Valero that I like Akshay to bounce back. I don't think he should be overlooked at 90-1 or whatever he is. Anyone else in the triple digits catching your eye down the board here?
I don't think anyone in the triple digits can win, but like non-Scottie markets, maybe Eric Cole. He's just on. I am the least Eric Cole guy too, but I think he's just playing so well. And like when he gets on those runs of like the good ball striking, he'll backdoor a T15 like it's his job. And I think he did that last week. I don't know what he finished, but he had a crazy round 4. But he couldn't putt up until round 4. So I like Eric Cole.
I'd put B Todd in that same realm of like guys who could just get a top 20 just because they're playing well. Somehow Denny last week gained in every tee to green category and didn't make any putts. That seems extraordinarily rare. And he's played pretty well here before. Denny down the board. I'll give him a look. Ben Griffin again, like I said earlier. Why not BG? One more guy. He's your guy, of course. You weren't high on him last week. He may be broken at golf, but he has won here before. Will Zalatoris, what's the state of the union?
Not great at all. I'm honestly, him making the playoffs this year is insane and impressive.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand was how he's even here.
Bay Hill and Riv.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't finished inside the top 10 since the Masters.
Yep, he's been bad.
Oh, one other guy that I saw that his odds were like 90-100-1, which I thought was a little steep considering how he's been priced this year. Is Ben On. Ben On is striping. Ben On's playing good again.
Both bet him recently.
Yeah, he's putting well again. He's putted well here before. It's back on Bermuda, which is where if he's ever going to win, I think it's going to be on Bermuda. He was T12 here in 2020.
Down.
I don't think he can win, but like this is a Ben On course.
100%. 100%.
And quickly, that wraps up the FedEx St. Jude. We do have LIV this week. We've got the LIV Greenbrier. We've got a lot of former winners. Obviously, Bryson shot infinity under par here last year. Neiman has won here before. You had him? You had Bryson last year?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then you know the Greenbrier, and I'll just let you tell me what do we need to be looking for and what do we need to
I'm definitely looking for driver putter guys, driver birdie makers. Just send it out there. And everyone who's really played well at this golf course has been plus in distance and have been a guy who's not scared to send it. So those are the guys I'm kind of looking for. And if you want to go with Bryson or Waco, you're going to pay for 7-1. I don't think that's the route this week, even though they make sense. I like Dean and I like Cam again. I like Cam. He's finding something. And this isn't a golf course where it's overly wide and hard off the tee. And the weather's going to be horrible. It's going to be so wet this week. So we know Greg normally controls the weather, so we're going to have to monitor that situation. But if it's wet, making the fairways even wider, I love Cam in that aspect. So I like Cam and Dean.
Yeah. I always like Dean. He has fallen off a little bit. I would say he's not quite playing as well as he was. But yeah, the prices at top, because obviously Neiman was of interest, but I saw Bryson plus 650, Rom plus 650, Neiman plus 700. It's like you can't single bolt. There's no way you can go to Neiman against those guys at those odds, at least in my opinion. But I like the Cam call. Thought he had no chance in the UK, and then you bet him there, and he played good. So I trust your Cam calls. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else here that jumps out as a bomber who could make. I saw Wolf is going to be popular. Wolf,
he played well.
The least
zero
dog. Who wins in a down the stretch
don't
battle
like
between Wolf and
Matthew
CY?
Wolff. He like might be one of my least favorite golfers, and I used to be a mega Matt Wolff fan. I don't like him. He is unserious and he is a dick. I hope that gets clipped.
Yeah, no, you have you've seen things with your own eyes to back that up, so you have reasons to support that take.
I kind of feel bad for him though. He's got issues. I feel bad.
I don't have the odds in front. Hold on, let me just get the odds really quick. I know you got to bounce here in a second, but I just wanted to see the LIV odds here on FanDuel really quick to see if there's anybody that I want to shout out. Obviously, we'll have this up on the site as always. FanDuel, got it, because I kind of liked Hatton, but he's 8-1. That's a no-go. Sergio won't make enough putts. Brooks won't care. Paul Casey, I can't do Casey anymore.
Is that Moon?
What?
Sebastian Munoz, 40-1.
That 40-1 on Seb is tough. I think I bet him at 100 a couple of events ago. He's not sneaking up on anybody. Moronk at 50, maybe.
I've been buying Moronk stock recently. So
what is Tommy Pete's problem? Quickly, Tommy Pete's
he
doesn't
well
care.
In the last event, right?
For a little bit, but like he has been terrible on LIV, like not good at all. No, but then when he goes
the international event, he played good.
Yeah, but then when he goes and plays other events, he plays like DP or he plays the international. He plays all right. No one is caring less about LIV than Tommy Pete's.
He refuses to tuck in his shirt. It's so funny. I love him.
Tommy Pete's cares the least, I think, of anybody on LIV, and that's a battle for who cares the least. I really think it's Tommy Pete's because
like from the beginning too.
He showed up on the DP and almost won. Like he almost won Soudal. He almost won the BMW International Open. Like he's playing fine. He just doesn't care. So Tommy Pete's, I'll give him a look again because I think at some point he's just going to wake up and be like, I'm going to try this event. And he's always like 60-1 and he's way better. Like Tommy Pete's is the same odds as Johnny Katz. And on the DP, Tommy Pete's would be 10-1 and Johnny Katz would be 100-1. Like purely on skill, Tommy Pete's is a good golfer.
It's crazy that Belgium has gifted two of the most talented golfers of our generation and who are just like the biggest non-winners ever. So shout out the Belgium nation. We have claimed you for future Viking Cup. So you will be considered. Yeah, I forgot we have Pete for Viking Cup.
Yeah, we do.
Talk about that.
And shout out to just the Viking Cup nations in general in the Olympics. There were so many times that I had Gold Zone on, which was like the greatest broadcast I've ever seen. Shout out to NBC. It proved to me that they actually can broadcast good and they just choose not to. Because if they did a Gold Zone for golf, we would never complain ever again. It would be the greatest thing that we've ever seen. So many events, it was like, oh, handball, oh, pole vault, oh, like whatever. Oh, here's somebody from one of the Nordic countries. They love their sports up there, and that's why we support them. And we've got it. But next year, maybe when we go to the Open, we're gonna have to figure out a way that maybe we keep our boots continuing on. Or it's the Made in Himmerland. There's the event that they have up in the
Netherlands.
Yeah. So if you listen to this and you're from a Nordic country, please reach out to us. We'd love to figure out a way to get some boots.
Get over it. Yeah, so. we do.
So on LIV, you're leaning. Say like
for now.
I don't hate it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out. It'll be on the site. Jers, the playoffs are here. The final countdown of the season. I'm gonna be tuned in a little extra this week than I have the last few weeks, just because we're getting down to the end of the year and we're not going to have golf of this caliber for months to come. Good luck and look forward to seeing what you've got for the site this week.
Yeah, let's have a week.